No parent ever teaches a child how to ask questions, yet every child turns into a tiny question machine. Brains have something called a reward system that it uses to prompt us to do something. Dopamine plays a vital role in this. The research showed that when people were curious, the same dopamine circuit lit up. We can seek knowledge for the purpose of knowledge. Learning itself can give pleasure. Knowledge itself can be the end and not just a means to some other end. AI would have collectively played video games for duration equivalent to millions of human lifetimes. Curiosity will play a crucial role in bridging the gap between today's specialized AI and the true emergence of AGI. Curiosity is the future of AI. High quality text data could be exhausted by 2030. So even as computing power and model size explode, progress could hit a ceiling, not because AI can't think faster, but because it has nothing new to learn from. There even have been studies that showed that curious people live longer. Hey there, welcome to Stay Curious with Saurabh, where we explore big ideas with humble curiosity. Talking about curiosity, I sometimes wonder why we are so curious. Why do humans ask questions? Why do we want to learn? Is it something that we are wired for to ask, to wonder, to seek? Think about it. You would have seen parents, or if you are a parent, then you would have seen yourself teaching children the most basic of things. Speak simple words, walk, hold spoon and eat yourself, the most essential survival skills. But no parent ever teaches a child how to ask questions consciously. I haven't ever seen any parent do that. If at all, many a times we try to stop them. Yet, somehow, every child turns into a tiny question machine. Why? There have been research about the psychology behind this behavior. Children continuously keep building and enhancing their knowledge state by asking questions, mainly whys and hows. Psychologist Michelle Chouinard, if I pronounce that right, she analyzed thousands of real conversations and found that preschoolers can ask 2 to 300 questions a day, and more than 70% of those are genuine information-seeking questions that help them build their worldview. Then comes school. That's when the flow of questions slows because we flip the script. Now we ask them questions and judge them based on the answer. And we teach them that every question has just one right answer. Back to curiosity, which is built deep into our survival. Picture our early ancestors staring at a bright disk sliding across the sky, wondering where it comes from and where it goes, or looking at water falling from the sky, or seeing that someone amongst them would sleep and never wake up again. Eclipse, earthquake, fire, farming, wheel, every discovery, every invention started with a question, and tens of thousands of years of evolution brought us here. It is this endless curiosity that separates us humans from the rest. Curiosity might have killed the cat, but it surely made humans human. Let us digress a little into neuroscience. Our brains have something called a reward system that it uses to prompt us to do something. And dopamine plays a vital role in this. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, that is a chemical released by some parts of brain to send signals to other parts of the brain. Dopamine is largely associated with pleasure, something that your brain generates after you have got what you wanted. But it also plays a role in desire, in want. It lights up when our desire is fulfilled, but also when we are about to get it. So, say you crave a chocolate cake. Just the imagination gives a small dopamine spark, which is then followed by a drop in dopamine to levels lower than what it was before the thought. This deficit creates want, and then you take actions to get that want fulfilled. You possibly drive to a bakery or order online, and then eating that cake gives you another potentially higher peak depending on how the cake fares against your expectations. In fact, dopamine may fall below the benchmark levels also if the cake is not as good as you imagined it would be. This is called dopamine reward prediction error. Without going into scientific specifics, which can get overwhelming and potentially boring, dopamine gets produced in the midbrain and it travels through well defined pathways to the dopamine receptors. It goes to the parts of brain that control reasoning, motivation, emotion, and memory. So, this reward system makes you plan how to get the cake. It tells your hands to place the order, and once you eat the cake, it generates the emotion of happiness and then registers this as a good memory. It says, "Yum, this is good. You should do this more often." Going back to the discussion about curiosity, in 2014, researchers at University of California, Davis showed that curiosity also recruits the same reward system. The research showed that when people were curious, the same dopamine circuit lit up and the brain's learning center, the hippocampus, became more active. Getting an answer gave the brain a little reward, that aha moment. Even better, really. When people were in that curious state, they learned everything around them more easily, even facts that were unrelated. Curiosity doesn't just help us to learn, it prepares the brain to learn. That, I think, is a great revolution. Most of the conscious knowledge seeking efforts that we do are for a definite purpose. Get good grades, get a job, don't drown when thrown in water, one reason for learning swimming. But here is this research that tells us that we can seek knowledge for the purpose of knowledge. Learning itself can give pleasure. Knowledge itself can be the end and not just a means to some other end. Let me bring in a cognitive bias here called the IKEA effect. A 2011 researcher showed that people tend to give more value to things they created. If you buy furniture from IKEA and assemble it yourself, then there are higher chances that you like it, even if it is a little wobbly. Doing it yourself creates a sense of belongingness. Psychologists call it the IKEA effect. We love what we have built, even if it is not perfect. Questions work the same way. When we struggle to find an answer, we build our understanding, and our brain treasures it. Spoon fed or rushed knowledge doesn't stick. In a later episode, I will also talk about neuroplasticity, the power of deliberate practice, and how we can hack the brain's reward system to forge good habits. But for now, let's stay with curiosity and talk about AI. So, curiosity is intrinsic to us, and the dopamine driven reward system plays a vital role in learning. What about machines? Can they be curious? How do they learn? Of course, I'm talking about AI. If we have skimmed how AI works, you probably have seen terms like regression, classification, a recommender system, reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning is one way to train AI models, and among all the learning setups, it is probably the closest to the way humans learn. Let's see how AI learns. Suppose we give AI a lot of tumor scans and also the information about which ones of those are cancerous. The model studies all of those and comes up with a mathematical formula. Then, when it is presented with a new scan, it can use that formula to calculate the probability of that new scan to be cancerous. Of course, in the real world, doctors stay in the loop, but AI can assist. This kind of learning is called classification, and it is easy to train AI with such a well defined objective. But how do we train AI for something like how to drive a car, or even something that we would find trivial like how to walk? How do humans learn to walk? Simplistically put, a child knows that if they try to stand but fall, then it hurts. But if they are able to reach to the end of the room, they get applause from parents or maybe even a candy. Reward on success, penalty on failure. That's how AI also figures out how to execute such tasks. That's the basis of reinforcement learning. Reward on success, penalty on failure. The age old carrot stick trick. Let me break down this a bit. In this method of learning, there is an agent and an environment. The environment gives a stimulus or gives a situation to the agent. Agent takes an action and then receives a reward or a penalty. Over many trials, the agent learns a policy, which is a sequence of actions that tends to maximize rewards and minimize penalties. AI does not need candy, it is happy to get a plus one as a reward. The easiest method for testing out and perfecting reinforcement learning techniques was to make AI play video games. And while there is no backing of the stats, AI would have collectively played video games for duration equivalent to millions of human lifetimes. And here's the beautiful parallel with humans. Reinforcement learning is driven by a reward signal, just like human learning is nudged by dopamine. In fact, reinforcement learning has a quantity called temporal difference error or TD error. Think of it as the gap between what you expected to happen and what actually happened. And when that gap spikes, the agent updates its beliefs most strongly. This TD error is strikingly similar to the dopamine reward prediction error that I earlier mentioned. The same dopamine shortfall when the cake was not good enough. Both these errors in prediction prompt learning. So far, the reward system in AI sounds very similar to how humans learn. We try, fail, adjust, and succeed. But there's one more twist that makes the comparison even more fascinating. That's where curiosity comes in. If humans learned only through external rewards, candies, grades, promotions, we would never explore new things. We learn because we are curious. We want to see what happens. That idea that curiosity itself can drive learning has now made its way into AI as well. It's called curiosity driven reinforcement learning or sometimes intrinsic motivation. In traditional reinforcement learning, the agent learns when it gets an external reward, right? A score going up, a goal reached, and a line of code says, good job, plus 1 point. But in curiosity driven learning, the AI itself gives itself a reward when it discovers something new or unexpected, giving itself a point when its prediction goes wrong, maybe half a point. It's like saying, I didn't see that coming. Let's explore this more. One of the earliest and most cited studies on this came from researchers at UC Berkeley in 2017. They trained an AI agent to play video games like Super Mario, but without telling it what winning even means. That agent did not know about points or goals. It simply rewarded itself every time it encountered something novel. A new room, a moving enemy, a different sound. And astonishingly, without any human defined task, the AI learned to explore, survive longer, and even discover hidden levels purely out of curiosity. The ultimate goal of all AI research is to reach AGI, artificial general intelligence, a system with adaptability and reasoning that not only matches but maybe surpasses human capability across a wide range of tasks. Curiosity driven reinforcement learning isn't mainstream yet, but I have a feeling curiosity will play a crucial role in bridging the gap between today's specialized AI and the true emergence of AGI. Curiosity is the future of AI. Let me provide one more link between curiosity and AI. We know that for AI, if computing power is its muscle, then training data is food. While the computing power is increasing, the untapped training data is depleting very fast. We are running out of new things to teach our machines. Human generated data is growing slower than the rate at which AI is consuming it. Analysis by research labs like Epoch AI estimate that high quality text data could be exhausted by 2030 and image data not long after. So even as computing power and model size explode, progress could hit a ceiling, not because AI can't think faster, but because it has nothing new to learn from. That's where curiosity may become AI's next great frontier. Instead of waiting for humans to feed it examples, a curious AI could begin creating its own data, generating new scenarios, asking new questions, even simulating entire worlds to explore its own uncertainty. Just as curiosity drives a child to experiment rather than memorize, it could drive AI to invent rather than imitate. If today's models learn from the internet, tomorrow's might learn from their own imagination. And that shift from consuming knowledge to creating it could mark the true beginning of artificial general intelligence. Curiosity, in my opinion, is not treasured, not celebrated enough. Its benefits are not popularly understood. Believe it or not, there even have been studies that showed that curious people live longer. Though I must add that that study only showed statistical correlation and did not prove causation, but still, curiosity is like cognitive anti-rest. So kindle your childlike curiosity. It keeps brain active and healthy. Use it or lose it. If you're still watching this video, chances are that you enjoyed it. And if you know someone else who might enjoy it as much as you did, then let them know about it. Thanks for watching. Curiosity drives us to learn, but sometimes it also blinds us. In the next episode, we will explore why we often learn from the wrong examples and how success stories can quietly mislead us. Till then and beyond, stay curious.